Well, I didn't really grow up in the faith. I didn't have my initial sacraments other than baptism until later on in my teens. After I did my first communion, I did confirmation, and that's when I started to inquire and ask a lot of questions with regards to the faith. And then I was very fortunate to have a pastor that really took on my mentorship. And so he started to push me to get more involved in the parish. Now I was probably 15 or 16 here. I found myself asking questions such as, like, what really matters in life? What's really my purpose? And this is when my pastor came in, and he had this huge library in the rectory. And I remember just going to that library most evenings and just checking out books. And it was just really enriching for me. And it was a hook. It was a hook that kept drawing me in and in. And as I kept going to school, middle school, high school, my pastor continued to get me involved. So I went from being a lector to being an usher to being a catechist. Part of my family was not very Catholic and didn't view me entering the priesthood in a very favorable way. They thought there was better opportunities. And so I was also kind of drawn by that. And so I turned down the invitation to go to this retreat twice before finally accepting. And it was really a life-changing retreat. St. John's has been, especially now that I know that, my days are counted here in a way, it's been quite a gift. They took me in when I transitioned from Guadalajara, and they gave me a space to nurture and keep my vocation and just cultivate it. When I was doing my propedeutical course in Guadalajara, I came across these books, and they were by this author, Spanish author, Martín Descalzo. And he wrote a couple books called My Journal of the Consul. So he got to participate, and he was writing these journals. And when I was in that course, I started to read, and it painted an image of a church, like a young church, an open church, one that was kind of depicted by Pope Francis, one with open arms that embraces, that touches the world, that is not scared to engage the world. And that was the image of the church that I fell in love with. Tapping into those seeds of what is true, what is beautiful, and what is good, and bringing them forth is something that really fuels me. Just looking for what I can find true, good, and beautiful out there, and foment it, help it grow. So many people out there have been brought up with prejudices or false labels or have experienced a negative aspect of the church or a church leader. I know there's been so much, polemics out there and conflict, but there's much more than that. There's the joy of the gospel that fueled and has fueled and continues to fuel so many people that are doing great things. I can think back to that decisive moment where I decided to enter the seminary, Holy Hour. That's where I got my courage to say yes, and that's where I continue to draw strength to continue on the journey.